Star Wars has been in a very rough place over the past few years, and no matter how many movies or TV shows they release in this franchise, it's not going to get any better unless they start hiring the right people for the job, which they have not done. But now the media is damage controlling over this Rey feminism movie by saying the culture war is already coming for this film. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or through YouTube membership. So, this is a Gizmodo article. I have already previously talked about the Obaid-Chinoy movie and how they hired this feminist to direct this movie that most likely will be a feminist-filled cringe fest, but now they're saying somehow toxic fandom has returned, and at the mere mention of Star Wars and women, no less. I am a woman who has loved Star Wars for most of my life, except over the past few years. And, with all of the bad content they've been putting out, women in Star Wars is not the problem. There are plenty of amazing female characters and also females who have been in these movies. Of course, the most notable that comes to mind, Carrie Fisher, Leia, fantastic. Then you get into, characters like Ahsoka, Sabine. The list could go on, but instead of admitting the fact that people are not excited for what sounds to be a feminism filled Star Wars movie, they're just saying, oh, the sexists are out in full force. It says nonsensical, virulent, misogynistic notions abound as Lucasfilm head Kathleen Kennedy and the director of the studio's upcoming Rey film, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, have found themselves in the crosshairs of trolls and anti-woke platformers over women playing in the Star Wars sandbox. I do not care if a woman writes Star Wars, directs Star Wars, executive produces Star Wars, leads in Star Wars. It does not matter to me. What matters to me is the fact that they are choosing people that are not qualified for the job. Just because you're a female, that does not mean that you are more qualified than a male to write or direct a Star Wars piece of content. I'd love for a very good female director to get her hands into Star Wars and actually do a good job, but also they are acting like women haven't previously shaped the history of Star Wars, because George Lucas's wife was a major part of the beginning of this franchise. She, of course, a lot of people say didn't get as much credit as she actually did, but she still helped shape Star Wars. And then, of course, I might not like Kathleen Kennedy, but she has been behind several of the projects in recent years, even if those projects are bad. So it's not like it's the first time that a Star Wars has had a female playing in their sandbox. That's just not the case, but instead it's always got to be the first. Oh, the first female to direct, the first female to write, the first female to lead. Like, you can only do the first so many times, and they're still trying to bank on women with this project, and that's just not going to work. Again, I'm fine with a female directing, writing, producing, whatever, but she actually has to be qualified for the job, and Obaid-Chinoy is not in any way, shape, or form. She has done documentaries in the past, and that's great for her. I'm glad that she feels so strongly about the things that she's, covering, but that also does not mean that she should be handed this franchise in a movie that will cost them hundreds of millions of dollars to create, especially one that has a lead character that almost nobody likes. The only people that like Rey are the fan fiction writers. And even those people don't like her because there have been several books made over the years that have been loosely based off Kylo and Rey, and they change almost everything about the characters, but they say, oh, it's still inspired by Rey and Kylo. Even those people don't respect this character enough. But it says Disney and Marvel Studios' recent handling of the Marvel's director, Nia DaCosta, brings into question if the corporation is ready to step up and defend its marginalized talents against the onslaught of loudmouths, as any little thing sets them off. No, people are just very protective over a franchise that they have loved maybe their whole entire lives. Like me, I've loved Star Wars ever since I first started consuming Star Wars when I was a kid. People actually love this franchise, and that is why people are so loud about it, because we don't want you to keep ruining the good characters and making bad movies and TV shows. I would love if tomorrow Lucasfilm did a complete 180. They dropped the Force is female, dropped the feminism, dropped the activism, and actually started writing good stories again. I would start supporting them again. I would start watching those movies and TV shows again, but they are just incapable of doing that. But I'm still going to talk about Star Wars because I'd still like them to start making really good content. Star Wars is not a platform for Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy's feminist activism, and they're going to learn that by creating this movie that's going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars and is probably going to lose them hundreds of millions of dollars. And instead of just accepting that, yeah, you know what, we can understand that Star Wars has been stumbling over the years and people are very skeptical of this movie, outlets like Gizmodo are freaking out, just calling us sexists and misogynists for not instantly saying, this is gonna be amazing, even though people like Kathleen Kennedy have proven over the years that they are incapable of making the content that people want to consume. Like, why would I blindly put my faith into them? At this point, there is absolutely no reason to. They've proven time and time again that they don't really know what they're doing. And of course, all of the talk surrounding this movie has been so far extremely negative, and they only a week ago announced that she was going to be the director for this film. Of course, they initially announced this movie several months ago at Star Wars Celebration, but ever since they announced that she is going to be, in fact, the director, things have been going very poorly for them. Tons of posts on social media. Oh yeah, she said that it's about time a woman shaped a Star Wars film. Like, there haven't been female characters that people love, female actresses who have had input with their characters, or females, again, like George Lucas's wife, who honestly helped shape the entire franchise and what it is today. But that's fine. Ignore their achievements to prop up your own. That's definitely gonna win you some points. But as you can see, just scrolling down Twitter/X, typing in her name, there are tons of people talking about how they don't think that this movie is going to go well, and I really don't either. I mean, obviously, only time will tell. Maybe Obaid-Chinoy will be able to leave her own opinions and views on the world, you know, at the door when she tries to make this movie, but I highly doubt it, judging by the fact they've got Daisy Ridley, who's a feminist. It's a female-centric Star Wars movie, continuing the sequel trilogy with this feminist activist directing it. I just think that this is going to be a major disaster. Only time will tell, but it doesn't really matter at this point, because no matter what happens, people do not like her, and this movie is still years away, meaning it is years for either Daisy Ridley or Obaid-Chinoy to try to defend themselves in this film and for it to go terribly for them. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.